The following video will provide the findings and opinions of Team 6 in the Asian Century Challenge. The business we'll be focusing on is the Flight Centre Group. In order to understand the problems and opportunities for our client, we want to highlight what we understand to be Flight Centre's vision, and using this perspective, aim to identify a problem and solution that helps Flight Centre to achieve its purpose. Flight Centre know the travel journey. They build dream holidays, are committed to providing great travel experiences at affordable prices, delivered by world-class travel experts. The definition of why, how, and what Flight Centre do has been essential in our research and understanding of our client. This thinking has been central to finding solutions and recommendations for the company to increase its Asian market capabilities. Based on research into the Asian market and Flight Centre's performance in the region, we have identified both problems and solutions which we believe are of feasible, desirable, and a viable nature. We have chosen to focus on the Chinese market due to a number of promising factors and trends observed in our findings. We will discuss the market culture and context of China first, in order to identify the problems Flight Centre face within this region, as well as help illustrate solutions to these problems. Firstly, we gathered information to shape the profile of Chinese outbound tourists to further assess the market culture and context of China. Chinese outbound tourism is reporting continual growth. In 2013, Chinese outbound tourist numbers reached 98 million, which is 18% more than 2012. The outbound tourist growth rate is expected to sustain this growth beyond 2020. This increase in the desire to travel directly correlates to the higher average incomes of the Chinese population. With males aged between 25 to 35 earning an individual monthly income of 15,000 yuan, whilst females aged 36 to 45 earn 10,000 to 15,000 yuan monthly. This approximately equates to an individual income of up to 3,350 Australian dollars earned per month. This is quite substantial given the individuals within this income and age bracket travel on an annual basis and even several times a year. The more income earned, the more people are willing to spend on travel. This is also aided by favourable exchange rates. Travel restrictions, such as the obtaining of visas, are also easing, with countries streamlining their visa procedures to attract Chinese tourists. 110 out of 140 Chinese tourist destinations formally opened up to Chinese tourists within the last couple years. It should also be noted that, similar to other Asian cultures, a strong influence of trust and using only brands that are familiar exists within the Asian market. During 2013 and 2014, Chinese outbound tourists were mainly from South China, North China, and East China. As shown in the following color-coded map, Shanghai, Guangdong, and Beijing have the most outbound travelers, followed by coastal provinces, indicated by the dark blue. The regions highlighted in the bright blue and light blues are also showing an increase of outbound travelers. The travel behaviors of the Chinese market also show that 37.1% of individuals travel annually, whilst 36.97% travel several times a year. A great opportunity exists to access repeat customers, with just over 74% travelling frequently. We also looked at the channels of inquiry, or the mediums in which travellers within China book and access travel information. With our focus on the growing rate of outbound or international travel, 69.89% of people said they consulted travel agencies or official websites of travel agencies, with 87.54% of those preferring to visit a travel agency for outbound tourism services as opposed to accessing the website alone. Of those who have travelled internationally, 94.13% said they will continue to purchase tourism products through travel agents. Based on our research of the Chinese market culture and context, we have identified some current problems that exist for Flight Centre within the region and have come up with possible solutions that address them. Revisiting our research into the region, the average increase of income is linked to people's willingness to spend money on travel, as illustrated in the projected growth of tourists wishing to travel internationally, of which a great opportunity also exists to access repeat customers, with just over 74% travelling frequently. The majority of travellers also prefer to visit a travel agency for their outbound tourist services. However, there is a perceived lack of familiarity and trust surrounding the Flight Centre brand within the Chinese market. This is due to the limited physical store presence and access to the Flight Centre brand. Currently, only one store location exists within all of China, that is in Shanghai. A great opportunity exists for Flight Centre, who pride themselves on building dream holidays and providing great travel experiences, to set up shop in China. This leads to our solutions. Our first strategy is to increase the number of physical storefronts within China. Our recommendation is that Flight Centre would open new stores in locations where there is a high concentration of Chinese outbound tourists, as indicated by the orange and dark blue coloured areas of the map shown before, as well as the bright blue and light blue areas. Our second strategy is to gain market share in China by acquiring existing prominent travel retailers, which allows Flight Centre to access a pre-existing customer base and also gain market insight, knowledge and skills from acquired people talents. Our first strategy is especially relevant for the Chinese market, with close to 88% of travellers still preferring to book their travel via travel agencies as opposed to online. Having only one physical storefront in Shanghai is causing Flight Centre to miss an incredible amount of demand from other regions in China, showing a high growth in outbound travel. Therefore, opening more storefronts will increase Flight Centre's market share and accessibility for customers. Furthermore, there is a strong cultural influence of trusting and using only brands that are familiar. Increasing the number of storefronts will create that brand familiarity and trust, hence gaining more market share. Our second strategy is another viable option for Flight Centre to pursue their interests within the Asian market. Growth through acquisition is a quick, cheap, and can be a far less risky proposition than growth through marketing and sales efforts. Furthermore, acquisition offers numerous other advantages, such as easier financing and instant economies of scale. The competitive advantages too are formidable, ranging from catching one's competition off guard to instant market penetration, even in areas where the business may currently be weak, to the elimination of a competitor through its acquisition. These strategies align themselves with Flight Centre's core capabilities that continue to be a part of Flight Centre's plan of becoming a world-class travel retailer. Flight Centre have mentioned that they want to ensure that their brands are always available to customers, whether it be face-to-face, online, or via another medium, as part of their commitment to having blended access for their customers. As part of their value proposition, they've also recently invested into redefining their shopfronts to ensure their spaces reflect both the Flight Centre brand and its products. As part of their strategies moving into the future, Flight Centre has highlighted in their annual report that it aims to benefit from increasing scale in its overseas operations, both through organic and acquisitive growth. That is focused on their internal and external capabilities. Flight Centre has a history of both establishing storefronts as well as acquiring business and developing them to work effectively. This includes proven positive results in similar Asian markets, with 3 stores in Singapore, 5 in Hong Kong, and 10 in India. Each of these locations shows a return in investment and considered to be within the top 10 revenue generators for the company. Flight Centre also hold a number of travel retailers and providers under their brand umbrella, as well as have their sights set on acquiring 5 separate travel groups, both at home and internationally. With their experience and expertise, we believe that Flight Centre will be able to establish more of their own storefronts or effectively acquire and manage a Chinese travel retailer under their brand umbrella. To conclude, We have identified practical next steps for the team to further validate the strategies recommended. These include providing a more reliable valuation on the return of investment, including looking into the value of potential partners or acquisitions, as well as the cost and resources needed to set up a Flight Centre store within China. Further market research is also needed to ensure the feasibility of what we have proposed, including a financial market analysis to validate returns. And finally, the identification of barriers such as governmental control on the industry, exchange rates, competitors, and Flight Centre's internal capabilities.